On today's episode of Paul Gets Another Z97 motherboard, we have a new one. Not a new one. It's an untested, and I could see in the pictures there was a couple of bent pins. More on that later, but there was a lot of bent pins. I do have a 8 gig or 4 gig sticks, 8 gig of DDR3 1600 memory in here. I do have a 4430 underneath that cooler. I've got a test subject of a RX 480 that we're going to try with it. This M.2 is a SATA. We're going to see if an NVMe will work in there. I don't know if it will, but I'm sure whatever's on here is not going to fly. So we'll have to reinstall Windows. We'll do the long-term service edition. We're going to see if we can get this board to work. I am not concerned so much with performance yet. I just want to make sure we can get it running. I had to bend some pins back in, but we'll see what happens. Stick with me. So there are several things that I know we're going to have to do with this board. It looks in pretty good shape. I know we're probably going to have to change the CMOS battery. We're going to have to put a new operating system. Like I said, we're going to put Windows 10, the long-term, the LTSC edition on there. I want to make sure that the pins that I got straightened out were right. I did break one off. Hopefully it's not going to make much of a difference. I'm going to hold my breath on that because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're reserved for for future use. Sometimes they're ground. I'm just hoping that the pin that got broke, it was in a corner, so I'm corner near the socket center. So I'm hoping that we got away with one. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and try everything out. I'm not really, as I mentioned, I'm not concerned with performance yet. I want to make sure it works, try to get it going again, or see if we paid 40 bucks for an untested board, if we are the tester, and if we can get it running. So follow me along. We're going to try a couple of things. We're going to have to update the BIOS. We're going to have to put a new OS. We're going to have to do a bunch of things. We're going to have to check out to see if this slot takes an NVMe instead of just a SATA. A lot of things. We're going to put more memory, all that good stuff. We're just going to have to see how it goes. So follow along with me, and yeah, let's see what happens. So it looks like we managed to get a post. We've got an i5 4430. We got 8 gig of memory running at 1600, and it's up. Darn, it is only a SATA port, but that's okay, because I have an NVMe in there, and it's not showing. The SATA did show, but that's okay. I had to try it. All right, one very good thing when you install something like the long-term service edition of Windows 10 on older hardware, because it's not supposed to have Windows 11, but that doesn't mean we're not going to do it. But one of the good things is you don't get a whole lot of bloat. There is pretty much nothing that comes on it. There's nothing baked in, no extras. As a matter of fact, I chose that no internet, or I chose that I didn't have a network, and this is what I got. So plain Jane, very simple, and now I start setting things up a little bit so we can start testing. So we've got it up and running so far, but we got to do something about that memory. I did try to put 2 other sticks in the other 2 slots, but it immediately boot looped. So I have to find either 2 other sticks, or if it does it again, that might be part of my problem. Which is alright, because I bought the board untested, and I already fixed all the pins, except for one that broke off. So I don't know if that was it, but I mean, we still got it running. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if that pin actually meant something. So that answered that question. The 2 good sticks, yep. Now it is kind of looking weird. We've got 3 sticks of 4 and 1 of 8. But that's okay, because we know all 4 slots work, and I can reconfigure things later. I still need to get another 8 gig stick, so I can have 32 in any one machine. But right now, I just want to make sure all 4 slots were working. They are working. We have been fairly successful to this point. Now the real fun begins. I'm going to have to do a couple of tests. I'll probably just run Cinebench and make sure that CPU and GPU and all that stuff communicate and talk to each other and run well. And then then we'll follow up and we'll see what's going on. And while it does look like I'll be able to do the CPU test on here, I'm not going to be able to do GPU test. That's all right. I'm just wanting to get an idea of if this is going to hold up before I start swapping out CPUs, adding more memory, and doing some further tests on this. But yeah, let's go ahead and run a multi-core 10-minute test and see how we do. There is one very, very handy thing about this debug on the motherboard itself. That's like an accurate temp right now. So that's pretty cool. She's running. Obviously, she's running a CPU test, not a GPU test. She's plugging away. All right, so the test is complete, and we have a whopping 693. Now, we're not trying to compare that to an Apple M2 or a Core 9 Ultra 9 or anything like that. We are just simply getting a baseline so when we do some other stuff to this, that we'll have something to go by. This is a 4-core, 4-thread. It's not going to set any records, but we are going to end up dropping a Xeon in here. We're going to test also a 4670, and if I can get a hold of one, I'll put a C5775, I think it is. That's a 5th gen that will also fit in this this Z97 motherboard. So we will. We're going to try to do a couple things. They won't all be today. Today, I just wanted to see if we could get this board working that came to us untested. And yeah, we've got it working. So, baseline accomplished. So we've got a starting point for our motherboard, our untested motherboard that came no CPU, obviously, no memory, no I/O shield. I can order an I/O shield. I think I can get a generic one. Just something like that would be fine. An OEM for, I don't know, like probably $10, including shipping. It be here in like a week or two. I did order another 8 gig stick of RAM just so I can do my testing, but I think we're going to be in pretty decent shape here. When I go to put this in a case somewhere, yeah, obviously I want an I/O shield. We'll see what happens, but those are little things. The big things were the pins being bent. I could see some of them bent in the picture. I straightened those out. What I did not notice is there were 2 other areas on the CPU that also had bent pins. One of them you couldn't, when I took pictures, you couldn't even really see. It wasn't until I ran my fingertip across the pins that I felt something that seemed out of place. And then using my phone as a magnifier, basically found, and I was able to bend those back. The other one in the corner near the center of the CPU, I think I've got a picture of that, but it's very, very hard to tell. And when I went to go bend that back, it actually snapped off. But I seem to be lucky because that was either reserved or ground, and I have not been able to find a CPU diagram to be able to tell me on that LGA 1150. I think it was reserved, so it's not in use right now, which is fine. And I was really, really worried, first of all, that I got a board that hadn't been tested, so I didn't know if it worked in the first place or not, and I didn't know if what I was doing would actually repair it. Thank goodness it worked. Yeah, it came up. It didn't seem to have any issues. Now, it does have a little bit of a memory training issue, or it does seem to be a little bit sluggish when it first comes on. I know that the first time or two, it might take an extra minute to train the memory. Even with older boards like this, they would still have that occasional issue. But in this case, it seemed a lot of times I'd have to go ahead and try to reset because it would hang, and I would get the temperature would stabilize, but I still wasn't getting a display, which was a little bit weird because it didn't give me any kind of error codes. And on that, it'll run through the whole thing, of cycle through codes, and then it'll go to showing the temperature after it boots up. So it was a little bit weird. Now, after I got an OS on there, Windows 10 LTSC on there, and after I booted through it a couple of times, it got smoother and it stopped doing that as much. I did update the BIOS, which didn't seem to make any difference one way or the other. It didn't care. But it is working. Now, I updated the BIOS to the next to last version because when I tried to update to the last version, which would have been 0.13, when I downloaded the folder, there was nothing in the zip folder. It had it had a text file that said, hey, this is the BIOS, and it had one other info file, but it didn't have the actual BIOS. So I had to step one back and download it. And I think it was from a few months earlier, but it's still back from like 2016. So it's been quite a while since this thing had a fresh BIOS, a 10-year-old BIOS. Still, it did work. It did make some, I don't know if it's making a big difference, but I know that I will be able to go ahead and put that Xeon processor in, and that being the latest BIOS on that Z97, I should be able to put that 5775C when I eventually get it. Now, those CPUs still run, because of their rarity, they still run more expensive than if I was going to buy a 4790. And I'm getting a similar performance between 4770 and 4790 with that Xeon 1270. That's a lot of numbers all at once. So we'll have to see. But I'm more out of curiosity than anything. I'm just having a hard time trying to pull the trigger on that investment to see if that's something I really want to test when it's not going to be any better than anything I've got. Now, the advantage to that 5775, it does have a buttload of cache memory on there because it's supposed to be used for the iGPU. And so that does make a little bit of a difference if you're using the iGPU, or I guess if you're doing rendering or something, it might also help. But basically it operates like a level 4 cache, regardless. But anyway, we do have the board working. We have a baseline to work off of. We have a set of numbers. We already have an OS on the SATA drive that's in there. So that means I don't have to lug a bunch of extra wires or plug extra stuff in. The M.2 on the board is very convenient, and the B85 boards do not have that. So that is convenient. NVMe, unfortunately, doesn't work. I hear rumor that sometimes on some boards that it will work, and it's keyed for an NVMe, but it doesn't seem to work. So we'll have to see if there's some configuration or some, I don't know if I want to do a hack to try to make it work. That SATA is working just fine. Anyway, that is all I have out of this. I just wanted to make sure that we got the board. I bought it for about $40 on eBay, untested. It came well wrapped. It came very, the shipping was pretty quick. We got it. I had a feeling I knew what the problem was. I was lucky enough that the repairs I was making, even though there was a small faux pas involved, that it still booted up and ran. And we've been able to run some tests to make sure that it is a worthy opponent for whatever I might throw at it next. So yeah, and that way I think I won. I won this one. $40. It was like $40.80 something cents. I think we got a winner, and it's a nice board. Not as nice as the other Z97 that I was trying to use, but that's okay. This was still a nice board. Anyway, that's all I got for this time. If you got anything out of the video, we're going to do some more testing with it later, but I wanted to get a baseline for it now. If you did get anything out of the video, go ahead and throw a like on it if you don't mind. If you're not already subscribed, please do. That'd be amazing, and I would totally appreciate it. Don't forget to visit me on the other socials. I will probably go ahead and do some ramblings on ThatPaulGuy.tech and a blog about this and what I might do in between that might not necessarily be worthy of a video. But yeah, we'll go from that. We'll keep going. But if you don't do any of those things, if you don't hit up the socials or like or subscribe or whatever, that's perfectly fine. I'm glad you're here. Just do me one favor, and let's just be good to each other. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Smile, wave, hold the door open, say good morning, something, anything, right? A little bit of kindness goes a long way, especially nowadays. So until I get myself into something I got no business getting into, and you see that 77, that Optiplex with the 7700 back there, I'm still doing testing on that. This still needs some more attention. There's stuff back there on that table that there's a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully we'll be able to make some videos out of some of it. But anyway, until I get myself into something I got no business getting into, that is all I have. So I'll see you later.